So I saw a Facebook post in a used catamarans group on Facebook where a guy asked a fair question. He just posted in the group, he said, where can I get financing for a used catamaran? And I thought it was a pretty decent question, but I think the guy was a little dismayed because he was met with just a slew of laughing emojis and kind of snarky replies and things like that. And the poor guy, I think, was kind of wondering, he's like, why am I taking such heat for asking such an obvious question? But the reality of it is that those people that were kind of giving him the snarky responses were more than likely kind of telling him the truth of what it's like, because it's kind of crazy to try to get finance for a catamaran or a Bluewater cruiser. And I'd like to take you through what it's like to get a loan, because my wife and I just went through this process to get a boat. And it's insane. It's was one of the craziest experiences that I've ever been a part of. So 2 disclosures on this, though, is that the comments that I'm going to make are all based on U.S. lenders. So maybe the experience in Europe or other parts of the world is different. Or maybe in the United States, you know of a place that can give a different experience than what I'm about to describe. So by all means, comment. Let us know if there's other information out there that's outside of the context of what I'm going to talk about here. We would appreciate you sharing that. The other thing is that this is for financing of boats over $200,000, meaning the loan is more than $200,000. If you're going to borrow less than $200,000, there's a good chance you could possibly get that loan through just like a retail bank, and on a 5-year note, a 10-year note, a 12-year note, something like that. I'm talking more about when you go get a 20-year mortgage, so to speak, on a boat, and those typically require specialty lenders. And it's just a good idea, by the way. We worked with a broker. They're a lender, but they're also a broker, meaning that they take our loan application and they pre-shop it to a lot of the specialty loan underwriters out there that focus on these type of loans. And I advise that too, to help you get through that process, because it's daunting to try to figure out who's actually loaning money for these boats. So I'll dive into what it actually takes to get through that process. If you could, well, let me touch on it. Please subscribe for us. We are on our way. We are on our boat. Our adventure has started, and we kind of need you to come along for the ride so that we can be successful. So please subscribe. All right, so let me draw a scenario for you. Let's assume that you're going to buy a boat, and just for the sake of argument, we'll say that the purchase price is going to be $500,000 USD. So what it takes to actually get a loan is, first, like any other loan, you're going to have a down payment, kind of like buying a house. You're going to need 20% down, or 20% of $500,000 is $100,000 in cash for a down payment. And that's if the boat's in the continental United States. If it's not, if it's even in, say, the United States or U.S. Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, or certainly any other Caribbean island or something like that, then you're probably going to need a 30% down payment, or $150,000 to be able to finance that boat. So that will leave you with a 20% down payment. That leaves you financing $400,000. So the next thing that you're going to need before you even get out of the gate is that you're going to need really good credit. And by really good credit, I mean almost spotless. Probably you're going to have 800 plus credit scores. And if you're co-applying with a spouse, both the spouses are going to have 800 plus credit scores. My wife and I had 815 to 845, both of us, so we were fine there, but we were let know that if anything sub 800, even like maybe a high 700 might get through, but probably not. If you don't have 800 plus credit scores, then you're probably not going to get considered by one of these institutions for a loan. Okay, then you move on, and just like buying a house, is you have to have a debt ratio, right? You have to have the income to support paying the loan back. And just like a house, they're looking for a debt ratio of somewhere between 25 and 30%. Maybe you'll find a bank that might go a little bit higher. It could be from bank to bank. But you're going to need that debt ratio that includes the boat note, that includes if you've got any land-based living arrangements like houses or apartments, any cars. Don't forget student loans. I'm not even going to mention credit cards, because if you're carrying credit card balances, you're probably not even getting this far, because you're not going to have 800 plus credit scores if you're carrying credit card loan balances, more than likely. But if you do, you got to roll those into the debt ratio too, to come up to that. Make sure that it's not above 25 to 30% of what your the payments, that is, the payments of all your debt isn't above 25 to 30% of your gross monthly income. So you got to get all that in there. Don't forget student loans, if I didn't mention that already. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different, though, is that the bank is going to want to have you have 9 months of everything that goes into your debt ratio. So in reserve, in a bank account sitting there, in addition to the $100,000 down payment. And they're going to want the boat payment times 2. So if you're going to finance $400,000 on a boat at 8.5%, which is horrible, but we're at kind of the peak of inflation, and hopefully by the time you see this video, maybe the inflation's come down a little bit, you can get a little bit better price. But if not, that will net you a payment of $3,471 a month for 20 years. So you have to take that, double that right off the bat. So that's 68, almost 69, almost $7,000. And then you got to add in your car payments. We didn't have a house. We got rid of the house, so we don't have any housing, but you got to add housing in there, student loans, everything that went into the debt ratio, you got to put in this number with that boat payment times 2. And the reason they put the boat payment times 2 is that they just assume that your expenses to keep the boat at a dock and a marina, to do repairs, to get insurance, to get whatever else you have to do on the boat, is going to equal the boat payment. So that's why they count it times 2. But you got to take all of that, and let's just, for argument's sake, I think it's probably low, say that's $10,000 a month, which is because the boat payments is almost $7,000 when you add in, when you double it, that's almost 7 of the $10,000 right there. But let's just say $10,000 is your monthly payments. So that means that you're going to have to show them a bank account that has $90,000 in addition to the $100,000 that you have for the down payment. That's just sitting there in a bank account, and it can't be, oh, we have it in a 401k. It can't be retirement funds. It has to be an after-tax cash account. So you might use your retirement, which is not advisable, but if you did, you'd have to liquidate it first so that you could show them it was in an after-tax account. So believe it or not, we went through all those tick marks. Those are the things that we had to go through, and we had our boat loan, and we were actually able to hit every single one of those requirements. And the broker was very pleased and wrote up the application, and we sent it in, and it took about a week for us to get the word back. And after pretty close to a week, we got the message back from the bank that we were denied the loan, even though we hit all of those financial qualifications. And the reason we were denied the loan is because the banking agent on the specialty lender went and looked us up online and found some posts on our Facebook and on YouTube and on our website that we have, Breaking Free Sailing, that saying that ultimately we want to live aboard. We can't live aboard. We're spending a lot of time on aboard right now, but we still have an apartment in Ann Arbor. We're going to need to stay tied to Ann Arbor, Michigan for at least another 5 years. So we're not fully living aboard. But just the fact that we mentioned that we might do it made the banking agent come back and say that they would not underwrite the loan. That it seems crazy, but it is. That's a reality of it out there, and we were denied on that basis. They just don't lend money to people who are going to be in live aboard situations. They just won't do it. And this doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I mean, I think I get the overall concern that they have is that, oh, well, if you don't live in any place, it's just too easy to take the boat, which floats and can go anywhere in the world, and you borrow all the money against it, and you just sail off and you never pay your boat note. And I suppose that's true, but considering, if you just stop and think about it, if you consider what we had to go through and what other people borrowing have to do to qualify to get one of these loans in the first place, people that work that long and spend that much time building up their financial strength and have taken care of their credit it doesn't seem very likely that those people are going to wake up one morning and say, hey, you know what, I got an idea, let's borrow a ton of money from the bank with no intention of paying it back and just go sail off with the boat and go scooting around the world. That's just not the type of people that are going to be able to qualify for these loans in the first place. And the other part I think they don't think through is that even though we'd all like to think that we're going to be out here forever and, I'm going to die doing this when I'm 100 years old, the reality of it is we're almost all coming back to land at some point in time. And again, because we're smart people that have gotten where we have gotten, we know we can't trash our credit for the days that we have to come back to land. We can't completely walk off and bail on a major loan like this, knowing that when we get into our senior years, we're going to come back and have to do a bunch of things financially that are going to require a decent credit score, and we're going to have that albatross hanging on us. Who would do that is in this kind of position? So that's a bit of a, sorry, I digress there, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. And it is certainly true that they will not loan if you're in a liveaboard situation. So everything happens for a reason, though, and this is better for us. We ended up buying a boat. We're on a boat right now sitting in the Bahamas, and we paid cash for it. And it lines up better. I mean, our project and our whole program name is Breaking Free Sailing. And that's what we're doing is we're breaking free from those traditional ties to land-based life. We don't want to be having to be working constantly in and out to make car note payments and house note payments and boat payments, and that's what we're trying to break free from and get out of that cycle and get out and start living this kind of a lifestyle. So having a boat where we don't owe a dime against the boat is a great feeling and goes a long way towards our ultimate goal of breaking free from that land-based lifestyle. So if you're thinking about financing a Bluewater boat or a catamaran, I think my recommendation is just don't. It's insane what you have to do. It ties you into all kinds of requirements, including insurance requirements. Insurance gets a little stickier when you have a loan on it. You're going to have a very strong insurance policy, and that strong insurance policy is going to require you to sail the boat only in certain places at certain times of the year. And not to be too vague about this, I'm talking about, you have to make sure that you're well out of the hurricane belt. In some cases, the plans want you to take the boat and put it on land and dry dock it, or you have to have a hurricane plan, or a bunch of other things that come into play. That as we sit here in October, which is technically inside the hurricane season, and we are in the Bahamas, which is just a little ways inside the hurricane belt, the northern end of the Bahamas. We watch the weather closely every day to see if there's any new lows spawning that we may have to run from. But we have the flexibility to do this because we own the boat outright, and nobody can really tell us where we can sail and where we can't sail. So if you're financing, my recommendation is just don't do it. In the words of the famous world cruiser Lynn Paraday, go cheap, go small, but go now. Don't wait to get the finances lined up so that you can get the perfect boat, so that we have a lovely boat that we'll give you a tour of here that's got good bones. It's got some things we have to work on. It's been sailing very nicely for us, and we're really enjoying our time aboard it. And because we just went, we said we're not going to let this hold us up. We're going to move by cash. We're going to go now. Get on your adventure. Get out there enjoying life and enjoying sailing. But if you are going to finance, I hope that this information at least gives you a heads up and prepares you for the bumpy road that could be ahead as you go through the financing process. And I do wish you the best of luck if that is your thing. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll get to see you again here soon and take you on a little boat tour of our new to us used catamaran.